End game for Arne and company. The question is just now about when. Wonderful to be in your company tonight. Wonderful to be in the company of Darren Lewis, who is wearing this fit that I love, backed by popular demand. And Thomas Hitzelsberger makes his Team Talks debut. Wonderful to have you joining us. Very good indeed to have you with us on Team Talks, making your debut so late on in the season. Let's look back at Liverpool and that beautiful piece of work we just saw, the fact that they are on the brink.
They deserve it, you know. All through the season they've been excellent. Now Mo Salah's signed a new contract, Virgil van Dijk, so they're all good news. I think the only trouble is this season there wasn't like one team that was competing with them week in, week out. Arsenal have tried, they've been good this season, but just not good enough to give them a good run for their money. It seems like watching the game against West Ham, they're running out a bit of steam. They just can't wait for finally lifting that trophy and focus on the next season.
Okay, so we're going to hear Darren's thoughts on it in just a little bit, but we are going to talk more about Liverpool, who will be crowned Premier League champions on Sunday if Arsenal lose to Ipswich and they win at Leicester. They go into that game following captain Virgil van Dijk's announcement that he will remain a Red for 2 more years.
So happy. What about you? How are you feeling right now to get this done?
Very happy, very proud. There's so many emotions, obviously, that goes through my head right now speaking about it. It's a proud feeling. It's a feeling of joy. Yeah, it's just incredible. You know, the journey I've had so far in my career, to be able to extend it with another 2 years at this club, it's amazing. And yeah, I'm so happy.
In again from McAllister. Liverpool are on the verge. Their captain delivers just when they needed it most.
It was always Liverpool, wasn't it?
It was always Liverpool, yeah. It was always, yeah, that was the case. It was always in my head. It was always the plan, and it was always Liverpool. So it wasn't any doubt in my head that this is the place to be for me, for my family. I'm one of Liverpool. Someone called me the other day, adopted Scouser. So really proud to hear these things, and gives me a great feeling.
Another week, another contract extension at Liverpool for a key player. Rank this one for us in terms of importance.
It's probably the most important. Yes, you can score goals in any team, but if you don't have a good defensive base, then you really are going to struggle. And I think as far as Virgil van Dijk is concerned, he's one of the very best. I remember when I saw him for the first time playing for Celtic, and he looked like Gulliver. He was just towering over every other player on the pitch. Everything he did was so relaxed, so calm, so considered, but so precise. And he just looked like a Rolls Royce of a defender. He took that to Southampton as well, where, again, he was just way too good for the team that he was playing in, for the level that he was playing at. And ever since he's gone to Liverpool, you have seen the difference that he's made. That defence of the Premier League title that fell apart, it fell apart because he was injured in the Merseyside derby. Had he been fit and available, maybe they would have won back-to-back titles, and they wouldn't have had to wait as long as they have done for a second one.
I'd say, of course, you're absolutely spot on. We can all look back and say how wonderful it was Southampton and for Liverpool Football Club, they have to predict now how good is he going to be over the next 2 years. Yeah. How much is that worth? And that is always a big challenge. Now, of course, the fans love him. He's excellent. I agree. One of the best defenders that's ever played in the Premier League. But he's had injuries before. He's had an ACL injury. So if that happens again to him, that would be a big blow. And you know, hopefully it never happens again. But that's what is it worth? And those are the challenges a player past 30 years of age. And Mo Salah similarly. Mo Salah, we can always see when he takes the shirt off how fit he is. With Virgil van Dijk, I sense it's similar. You can only hope both players stay fit for a long time.
I think the only thing I think about with both players is that Liverpool are a club that looks at the numbers, the data, to the nth degree. And they've made really good calls on players they've allowed to leave before, Fabinho, Sadio Mane and one or two others. I think as far as both these players are concerned, and if you look at the bigger picture, a lot of players have really proven their consistency deep into their 30s, both in the Premier League and beyond, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo being the ultimate one. And as far as defenders per se are concerned, I remember Arsene Wenger's back four in the late 90s that played deep into their mid-30s. Adam, Bold, Dixon, Keown. And I think John Terry played deep into his 30s as well. Rio Ferdinand did as well. So I think there are a number of examples where we can have that confidence. But the big rider, as you rightly say, is if he were to get another injury, what impact could that have?
I just want to add one thing, going back to Mo Salah. With him, he's got such a big following. Nowadays, when you sign players or extend contracts, you don't just look at the performance on the pitch. He's like, how many people do they bring to the club?
Yes.
He's, correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest sports star in Africa.
Yes.
So it's an easier decision, whereas Virgil van Dijk, you know, he's got a lot of fans around the world, but Mo Salah just stands out. He's such a big name. That's why I think it was easier with Mo Salah. Virgil van Dijk is like, if he's not playing, how much does he contribute to the club's success? Can he still influence the players, maybe the younger ones? But both players, I think it was a good decision, and I'm glad. If I was a Liverpool fan, I would be very happy to have both players for more years.
How much is that commercial value that you're ultimately talking about? How much has this changed to when you were playing in the Premier League? We know that this is now a global brand. Every player is a global brand. The clubs themselves are also looking at shirt sales as much as they are value on the pitch. How much has that changed? Just give us some kind of idea.
Liverpool is one of those clubs who I think they know their data, they look into this, and it does also influence the decision making. It's very important. Not every club has the resources to really spend a lot of money on this, but it does play a big role. But of course, we all know the first and foremost reasons are, what do they do in the pitch? Can they score goals? Can they defend goals? And with both players, it's sure those were the main criteria.
Yeah, and you can understand why Liverpool went and recruited Virgil van Dijk, and the money they spent on him has made such a difference. And as the saying goes, defence wins you titles. The proof is in the pudding, obviously. You've both mentioned how excellent he is. Where does he rank, though, in terms of Premier League centre-backs and all-time greats?
Well, I would think he's up alongside the likes of Rio, Vidic, Terry. I'd probably go with Terry alongside Terry, because Terry was a warrior. You'd have to carry him out on his shield. He was a manager on the pitch, but he was also someone who would put his body on the line. He read the game superbly well when he didn't have that much pace. And yeah, he was just simply outstanding. But Virgil, he's got that calm. He's got, and he transmits that calm to the rest of his backline. He's an organiser as well. He makes so many players around him better with the way that he organises that backline and the midfielders in front of him too. I'd probably go with a tie, because I'm a little bit of a chicken and I'm going to sit on the fence.
Yeah, both players, I totally agree. John Terry, but Rio Ferdinand, really good. I would throw in Vincent Kompany in the mix.
Yes, of course.
Similar.
Absolutely.
John Terry, different type of player. The physique's different, but of course he played for Chelsea. He's that, Chelsea centre half that you would always remember. Virgil hasn't been at Liverpool that long, but has had a huge impact. But I think Vincent Kompany is the other name that I would throw in and say they're all up there. It's difficult to say that one outstanding centre half, but they're all pretty decent.
Yeah, I think since Virgil has committed his future to Liverpool, that debate has been raging on the socials, certainly. So, Liverpool go to Leicester, who could be relegated before they kick off on Sunday. Let's hear from both managers, starting with Arne on his captain's new contract.
Huge news for the club, for the fans, for our players and for our staff. So pleased, because everybody knows how good of a player he is when they see him playing during the weekend, and we also know how important he is. I also know how important he is during the week when we train. He is one of the few leaders there are still in the world of football, I think, for a team. And apart from that, he's shown this season again how important he is on the pitch.
I asked you last week, on the back of the news about Mo Salah, what was something that you'd seen on a daily basis that you weren't, aware of before you came. Is there anything like that around Virgil?
What I just said, maybe. His importance in and around the team. When we train, when we're inside this building. okay, if you look at him, you see a big man, so you would expect him being a leader, but he's not only a leader because he's big and tall, but he's also smart. Players respect him a lot, and he brings a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy into training sessions because he knows what he says, he knows how to motivate his teammates to get the best out of us every single day. So, and apart from that, when it comes to quality, I was surprised how incredibly good he is with bringing the ball out from the back. So the first training session we did, we were trying to get players free in between the lines, and he found them constantly. So yeah, I knew how good of a player he was, how important he was, but that he was that good on the ball was even a surprise to me.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Darren? Because we'll talk about the fixture itself, but Liverpool have been kind of cantering towards the title. They've known every week that this gap, we need so many points and so many points. But this is the first weekend where really there is championship point.
Yeah, absolutely. And they couldn't have hoped for better opposition to gain it against. Leicester now could be the first team to win 9 home games in a row without scoring in Premier League history. And it's sad to say it, but Van Nistelrooy doesn't appear to have improved any element of the Leicester team. They were above the line when they appointed him and they sat Steve Cooper. They can't defend, they can't score goals. So Liverpool, even in second gear, should be able to go and win this. We talk about them maybe running out of puff a little bit, maybe not looking as sharp as they had done earlier in the season, but I don't think they will have to for a game like this because they just have so many mistakes in them in their back line. I think the one thing they'll have to do is respect the game, obviously, and not turn up expecting to win.
Yeah.
But I think if they do turn up with anything like what we have seen from them so far this season, Liverpool should get those 3 points and leave it just 1 win away.
Because it's not only straightforward, right? You were telling me about some permutations. They need Arsenal to lose, but if Arsenal win and then Arsenal win, just take us through it.
So if Arsenal lose to Ipswich and then Liverpool were to beat Leicester, then of course you've got that scenario.
Yeah, but then if Arsenal don't lose, what happens then?
If Arsenal don't lose, then it continues, because obviously Arsenal have got a game on Wednesday night as well against Crystal Palace. Now we expect them to win that game as well. It is at the Emirates, and I think it will continue on to next weekend. But I think Liverpool are very much masters of their own destiny anyway, and I don't think they've not been a side that has wanted to rely on what anyone else does anyway. They are a side that gets a job done. So I expect them to win this game. I expect them to win next week as well.
So we're just looking at the earliest Premier League title wins. Liverpool themselves hold the record there. But if they do manage to win it this weekend, it would be with 5 games to spare. Manchester City and Manchester United have done that as well. Thomas, since it's our first time really getting your take on this Liverpool team under Arne Slot and what they are on the brink of doing, just talk us through how you've seen their season and what's impressed you most.
Well, to see Arne Slot coming in after Jurgen Klopp, who's been such a dominant figure as a manager, I was there at the last game last season. I thought, this is really, really impressive what the club put on. They slowed down towards the end of the season. Think, what is Arne Slot going to do? The way he came in, the way he changed the style, it's more economical. It's nice to watch. I've been extremely impressed. It's just a shame what I said earlier. There hasn't been a team that really fought with them very, very hard. But nevertheless, they did what they had to do. Why it's sometimes for me difficult to compare where this ranks. But overall, in the first season of a new manager, to also, I thought at some point the Salah and Van Dijk contract negotiation would make life difficult for the entire team, and that never really happened. We heard Salah coming out, at some point criticizing the club for, he's more out than in, and under these circumstances, you couldn't have asked for a better management of the team and the club. So very, very impressed. But again, they need to change a few things in order to be up there at the top again next season. Yeah, and it's quite an interesting fixture itself, isn't it? Where you've got one team on the brink of the title and one team on the brink of relegation. It is, but you've summed it up. You know, this Leicester side just does not look as if they were capable of doing a good job against Liverpool. On the other hand, Liverpool, they can focus now on finishing the job, and even better for them if Arsenal lose to Ipswich, then they can secure the title, because I don't think they want to do it in midweek when they're at home. So this is, I sincerely think they're well deserved. And I've enjoyed watching them, especially Mo Salah, because when he's injury free and he's rolling, he's unbelievable.